What's happening, guys? Today we are talking about the can opener serve, a nasty tool that will drive your opponents crazy, and Roger Federer's favorite serve on the deuce court, uses it on the ad court quite a bit as well, but at least 70% of the time on the deuce court, it's Roger's go-to serve. It's a slice serve, but the slice serve, not all slices are created equal. We're talking about a ball that is working over the high part of the net, the mid-range of the net, and hitting and really trailing off. So the opponent has to be pulled well past the doubles alley. And the reason that Roger uses this so much is that regardless of where the ball goes, he has the open court to play serve +1. So in all likelihood, the opponents will bring it back cross court, the highest percentage shot, or somewhere in the middle. Federer can either play down the line from the deuce court, work on the inside out if the ball's through the middle, and play the ball to the open court. And even if it comes to the backhand, it's still just a cross court backhand into the open court. So super advantageous when trying to get a heads up on your opponent. So let's talk about how to do it. Something important to distinguish out of the gates with the slice serve is that the fundamentals of the actual motion of the serve are largely the same between the kicker, the flat, and the slice. It's all about where you're contacting the ball that makes the ball either kick or slice, or we put extra MPH by being flush behind the ball. All right, so with that being said, tip number 1 is all about leading with the edge of the racket. Number 2 is gonna be contact, but if you're not leading with the edge of the racket to the ball, you're not gonna be able to contact the ball correctly. So you have to have, the must-have is a Continental Grip. This is going to allow this chopper grip where you're able to work the edge from the racket drop up to the ball. All right, so if you've got a semi-Western grip, that frying pan grip, your strings will be facing this way to the ball, and the only way to get the ball in is by getting behind the ball this way. So you gotta have this Continental Grip. So from here, now that I've got the Continental Grip, I wanna make sure that I'm leading with the edge, and a great way to do that is start with the elbow up. This is the position that we wanna be in, and then I can focus on my racket working at 45 degrees. From here, as I make that cut on the ball, I get some slice, and the ball works at the angle. I know it seems counterintuitive that the racket is working this way, but the ball will go that way. That is just the basic fundamentals. But let's talk about how we make the slice super special with this can opener and get it to break. The can opener is all about your contact point. Where are you hitting the ball? It's what differentiates it from the kick serve, the flat serve, or even just an average slice serve. And where we want to focus is 230 as the contact point. So imagine this ball is a clock, 12 o'clock is the top, 6 o'clock is the bottom, 230 is where we're looking at contact. We really want to be on the outside of the ball. Now, the disclaimer here is that you still have to lift. So you want to come across at that 7 o'clock point and really work out to that 230. But that is where I want contact with the ball at this 230 mark. But you're always lifting. There's a net in place. You've got to make sure that you're lifting as well. You're not just hitting down. But 230 is where your focus should be. All right, so now that we've got extension and where the contact is, we've got to get the ball in the air, and the toss is important. So if you're just learning the slice, the easiest way to find it is to toss parallel to the baseline with your arm extended out towards 3 o'clock. 12 o'clock is straight ahead, 3 o'clock parallel with the baseline. The reason this works is simply your racket is going to chase wherever the ball goes, and it's going to help you get on the outside of the ball. And this will be beneficial to find that 230 contact point. All right, so tossing here and then focus on getting into the court like so. Now, operating at 3 o'clock with the toss, although efficient and a lot of players do it, commonly what will happen is that players will run into issues producing enough power. But if the 3 o'clock works for you, don't steer away from it, all right? There's a story about Agassi, how he would toss every single time on a slice out at 3 o'clock. Gilbert was like, Andre, everybody can read your serve. And he's like, it doesn't matter if they can't do anything about it. Gilbert went to the other side of the net, and Andre proceeded to slice out wide to the deuce court 10 times in a row and won like every single point, regardless of Gilbert knowing where it went. All right, but another method is to pull the ball back more to 12 o'clock. All right, and the reason being is that this is going to help you get a little bit more lift and find that outside of the ball, but it's also going to disguise it more. So the pros, what we're seeing is that they can hit the flat, the kick, the slice from any toss, and they'll vary to some degree. You know, the kick's always going in one direction, but they can still put the spin on it from one direction if need be. Now, the reason I think this works a little bit better is that if you imagine the racket as it picks up speed from the racket drop, when does it have the most thrust it's going to get? It's right at this point as it moves across the 12 o'clock plane. Once it starts exiting and starts chasing the ball to that 3 o'clock, the racket is slowed down quite a bit. All right, so although it works, you've lost a little bit more power. So serving more at 12, you're simply putting the ball up in the air, and then as you're working up, you're focusing, instead of making contact here as you would on a kick serve, you're making contact out at that 230 mark and putting the slice on it. And the benefit is they may think you're hitting a kicker and you're actually cutting that ball really wide. So we're gonna get this question quite a bit about pronation. And do you pronate on the slice serve? Sometimes, right? Some players have what we call continued pronation, to where even though they're slicing, the racket still pronates and work through. And then we also have discontinued pronation. And this means as the racket is making contact, the racket is staying predominantly on that same side and it's not going through that pronation phase. All right, but don't put the focus there. All right, if you focus on the contact, you're going to reap the rewards of that slice serve. Now there's something else that we have to add, and that's going to lead us to our next tip, and that's about accentuating the slice. All right, and this is a great tip about what you're doing with your hands at the end. So when you finish the serve, what you want to focus on after that contact is you want to bring the hand around and scoop. All right, so this wouldn't be pronation because you're not going to go continued pronation and then come back around this way. This is my preferred method because what it helps me do is work more on a bowl when I make that contact, of really allowing the arm to come around and get that ball to break. Let's take a look at that now. I promised we talk about the ad court. Now the ad court isn't as advantageous to hit the can opener because if the opponent reads it, it leaves you susceptible for the forehand coming back down the line, which is fine if you're covering it for your forehand, but you do want to be aware of it. It's just not as advantageous as the deuce court. The beauty of it though is that it can offer a ton of disguise, and it happens to be my favorite serve. And now here, what we want to do is stay with that method of tossing more at 12 o'clock and have it looking like a kicker in order to find the tee. That way your opponent believes it's going out wide, then the ball goes tee and it actually breaks away from them. All right, but I'm going to show you two versions. The 3 o'clock, that method is going to have us working more towards the body. That's still true slice. And then the disguise, the more advanced motion that Federer uses, is going to be that 12 o'clock and breaking the ball. All right, so a little bonus tip for the very end. If you are struggling, if you're still having a hard time finding your slice serve, one, use exaggeration theory. Get really far wide on the deuce courts and give yourself permission to miss. On either side, give yourself permission to miss. So here where I'm on the ad court, exaggeration theory would be like, if I'm trying to aim tee ad court, opposing ad court, I'm going to force myself to serve into the deuce box. It makes me get comfortable with what my contact is and really pulling that hand around, and then start working my way back to the target of the ad court. The second tip is be mindful of your feet, all right? Second bonus tip. The more my foot goes back, my back foot, the easier it is for me to hit a kick serve. The more difficult it can be to hit a slider. The more my foot comes forward, the easier it is for this hip to rotate a little bit earlier, especially with that 3 o'clock toss. All right, so just if you're struggling with it, things that you can play with. All right, so let's cover in summation. What do we have? Must have Continental Grip. Got to have the Continental. Number 2, you have to lead with the edge, 3 contact point, 230 on the ball, but make sure that you're lifting on the ball as well. From contact, make sure that you're scooping the hand and finishing with the palm up. Don't get caught up with pronation, whether you are or you're not. Just allow that 230 contact, scoop with the hand. All right, and as far as the toss goes, remember, you can operate at 3 for that quick fix, that little bit of a cheat, but you can also pull it at 12 to get that disguise if you're looking for a little bit more bite on that slice. All right, and that works really well from the ad court. And then, of course, the adjustments with your feet there for the little bonuses and the exaggeration there. That's a lot. It was a mouthful. We covered a lot today. Guys, really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, you know what to do. I'm not going to preach to you. It helps us a ton. Hit that like button, subscribe, share it with somebody, and definitely check out the comment section because we have the serve course that you can check out absolutely for free by hitting the link in the comment section. I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.